Now, in my last episode, I covered the major supply constraints that the emergence of AI is causing when it comes to GPUs. This will almost certainly result in increased pricing from cloud service providers like AWS and Azure, which absolutely presents an opportunity for competition to enter the market. In this episode, I will be covering a sector that I think has massive opportunities and highlight 4 projects within it, one of which already has partnered with Apple, Microsoft, and Google. I will also show you where you can actually buy these tokens if you wish to invest in any of these projects. Now, the sector I'm talking about is decentralized cloud storage and decentralized cloud computing. Now, the timing is perfect because demand for these services is high, and the crypto market just received a huge influx of idle computing power. This is because Ethereum, the second largest project in all of crypto behind only Bitcoin, used to use GPUs to validate their blockchain and network, but this all changed on September 15th of 2022. That's when Ethereum moved to what is called proof of stake to validate, and these GPUs no longer had a use. This left an estimated 20 million idle GPUs owned by crypto-minded people looking for new projects to repurpose them for. Well, we are seeing them flood into the projects that I'm about to cover. The entry prices of these projects are also incredibly attractive, as all of these projects are substantially down from their all-time highs in the last market cycle from 2021. If you haven't watched my intro video to this channel, I absolutely recommend that you do so, because I explain why I foresee late 2024 into 2025 as the beginning of the next major bull run, making right now the best time to invest. Now, before we dig into these specific projects, I do need to remind you that I'm not a financial advisor, and this is strictly for your entertainment purposes. Before you invest in anything, especially crypto, you should do your own research. The first project I'm going to cover is Filecoin. Now, this project exploded onto the scene in 2017, raised $257 million in its initial coin offering. This project is being majorly utilized today with total data stored at 1.1 exabytes, also known as an EB. Now, to put that into perspective, 1 EB is equal to 1 million terabytes, or 11 million 4K movies. And 5 EB could store all words ever spoken by human beings in history. Needless to say, it's a lot of storage. Well, there is still plenty of room for growth moving forward, as the total storage capacity on the platform is 22 EBs. Now, Filecoin does have a pretty sizable market cap, or total valuation, at just under $2 billion, but it's down over 80% from its all-time high valuation of $11.87 billion back in the last bull cycle in 2021. I absolutely think it's a prime candidate for a major bounce back in the next market cycle. The next project is Arweave. Now, this is my top play in the decentralized cloud storage space. Arweave does something that really differentiates itself and offers something that an entity like, say, Amazon can't offer, and that's permanent storage. The payment structure works such that you pay one time up front and your file is stored forever, as it's stored on the blockchain and is immutable or unable to be changed. Well, this structure is certainly attracting both investors and users. Arweave raised $22 million in investment and is comprised of more than 1,000 storage nodes. It also has over 170,000 active users, and the protocol is adding about 1.5 million files every day. Now, the thing that is very attractive about this protocol is that compared to Filecoin, the market cap is much lower. With the amount of usage this project is getting, it has a massive upside moving forward. Now, before I jump into cloud computing, I want to remind you to please subscribe and like this video. I invest a lot of time researching and preparing these videos, and I want to make sure I get it in front of as many people as possible. So anything you can do to help me is much appreciated. All right, let's talk about cloud computing. Cloud computing has been a key driver of recent transformative tech trends, including AI and machine learning, but it's also used for video editing and 3D graphics rendering. Moving forward, it's going to be instrumental in the growth of VR and AR and the metaverse and cloud gaming and even quantum computing. Well, decentralized cloud computing projects are gaining a lot of traction right now. And these next 2 projects have a ton of potential moving into the next market cycle. The first project is Render. Now, what is 3D rendering? I'll give you an example from Toy Story 4. A single frame like this generally takes between 60 and 120 hours of computing power to render because it had to take into account all the different light and how it reflects off of different surfaces and just how detailed it is. To put things into perspective, though, 24 of these frames are necessary for every 1 second of animation. When you look at the movie as a whole, it required 133,920 frames. So even at the low end of 60 hours per frame, that's over 8 million computing hours, which is just absolutely staggering. And that's only one movie. Rendering is also used by gaming platforms, metaverse developers, architects, interior designers, and NFT artists. It's a huge market, and in 2023 alone is projected to generate $3.64 billion in revenue and grow to $8.39 billion by 2027. Now, Render is a platform much like Upwork or Fiverr, and that it matches people looking to perform render jobs with people who have idle GPUs to process renders. For example, let's say you're an architect and need to render a project that would take 3 days to complete on your computer. Well, you can post that job on Render's platform. And Render will assess the complexity of the task and assign a price to it. And someone with idle GPU resources will complete the project for you in a fraction of the time. What's interesting is the payment is made in the form of Render token, which is the engine behind the whole project. Now, this platform is really taking off, and it shouldn't be a shock considering the team behind it. Jules Urbach, also known as the Elon Musk of rendering, found Render in 2016, but this was not his first venture. In fact, at the age of 18, he chose to defer going to Harvard University so that he could make his first video game, which was picked up by Time Warner Interactive. Later, he created the web's first 3D video game platform and licensed the software to Macromedia, Disney, Warner Brothers, Nickelodeon, Microsoft, Hasbro, and AT&T. Now, I'll get back to him in a moment, but I do want to cover the rest of the team first. We have Mike Winkelmann, professionally known as Beeple. He's arguably the most well-known NFT artist in the world, and in 2021 sold one of his NFT pieces for a record $69.3 million at Christie's. Then you have J.J. Abrams, who's the CEO of Bad Robot, and his work also includes writing, directing, and/or producing Armageddon, Star Trek, the most recent Star Wars movies, and Mission Impossible 3. Next, you have Brendan Eich, who's the founder of the Brave browser. If you've never used it, you should definitely check it out. A lot of Chrome users are making the switch because this browser has better security and privacy from ads. And then Ari Emanuel, the CEO of Endeavor, which owns the UFC, and well, they're actually expected to purchase the WWE later this year and merge the two. And lastly, you have Jennifer Zhu Scott, she's a council member of the World Economic Forum. Needless to say, this team is incredibly stacked. Well, it gets better. On December 27th of 2022, it was announced that Render would be integrated into Apple iOS devices through Octane X, which is an app that Jules Urbach created to enable 3D rendering on iPads. It's also worth noting that Apple just announced the launch of their VR headsets, which will certainly require a lot of rendering. Oh, and I should add that Microsoft and Google are both partnering with Render as well to further bolster the network's capabilities. Now, this direct integration into Apple pushed the Render token up 295% in just over the period of a month. And this project has been one of the best performing in all of crypto through this bear market. But while it is sitting at a market cap of $687 million, if you zoom out, it's still down nearly 50% from its all-time high in the last bull cycle. And that was before all of these announcements. Needless to say, I do have investment in this project. Not financial advice. The last project I want to cover is Akash Network. Now, Akash is very similar to Render in that it is a marketplace that connects people that have GPU needs with people that have idle GPU capacity. The main difference is that Render is focused on the 3D rendering niche, where Akash is agnostic. This opens the door for them to connect users with computing power for things like AI. Now, the Akash network is currently sitting at a $71 million market cap, but it did reach a high of $456 million in the last bull run. So if it did reach that again, you're talking about a 6.4x on your money. Given the AI narrative that's playing out in cloud computing demand outlook, this lower cap project has the potential to make a major run in the next market cycle. But keep in mind, lower cap coins do generally carry more risk. That said, if this thing does indeed take off, well, you can thank me later. Okay, now I'm going to show you where you can actually look really for any crypto project to see where it's available for purchase if you want to invest in one of these projects. So the website that I use is coinmarketcap.com, and there's a ton of great resources on this website. So you can see the top ranked coins based on their market cap or valuation and rank. You can go to the search bar and look up any particular project though. So let's look up Render. On the left, you can see the total market cap or value of the project, but if you scroll down, you can actually see which markets it's available on. So in this case, it's available on Coinbase, which is probably the most notable exchange in the US right now. And you have a pairing of Render/US dollars. So you can look at it this way as far as the pairings go. So if you went to the coffee shop, your pairing would be COF-US dollars. So you buy your coffee with US dollars directly. It's not always that easy. You can see some of these, for example, are Render/BTC. So BTC is Bitcoin. In that case, you'd have to buy Bitcoin first, be able to exchange that into Render and use Bitcoin as your means of payment to buy Render. All right, let's look at another project. Let's look at Arweave. So same thing here, you just scroll down, you can see, in this case, I went to the second page of listings. It says the 15th one listed, but crypto.com is another exchange that's very easy to sign up for in the US, and it happens to have a AR for Arweave US dollar listing, so super easy to purchase this one as well. So now you know where you can go to look to really find any crypto project and where they're listed. Hopefully you found that helpful. Now in my final words, I want to talk about momentum. Now, have you ever been just dialed in or in the zone? And it could be at work where just everything is going right that day, or in sports where you just can't miss a shot. But then other times you find yourself in a rut and the smallest tasks can seem like climbing a freaking mountain. Well, you've got to pull yourself out of that rut and get some momentum. And one way to do that is by setting yourself up with a small win. And depending on how deep that rut is, sometimes the smaller win, the better. It could be something like you're going to get out of bed tomorrow morning without looking at your phone and checking social media, or you're going to make it a point to go for a 10-minute walk and get some fresh air. Could even be setting an alarm to remind yourself to give yourself a self-positive affirmation. I personally have standing small wins. For example, every single Monday, rain or shine, I make it a point to get my butt in the gym. And it gives me a little bit of momentum coming out of the weekend and sets the tone for the rest of the week. I challenge you to find out which small wins work for you and set up some standing small wins, because you'd be shocked at how quickly those small wins turn into bigger wins. And before you know it, you're back in the zone and locked in. My name is Bradley Meyer, and this is the Deep End Connection. My passion and my goal is to connect and empower people like yourself. And in turn, I urge you to do the same for others. I know your time is incredibly valuable, so I very much appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in future videos.